Hello, my name is Ricky Barranco. I'm a student with the National Louis University, and this presentation is about emotional intelligence and emotional agility, which I find that are very important to become a good and successful leader. And it's something that we all should do, and that you should find your true self. First off, I want to give you the introduction to emotional intelligence. This definition was in the book True North by Bill George. He simply states that emotional intelligence is made up of self-awareness, which was discovered by Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence. He described this type of intelligence as an important one for a leadership role. Goleman made it more simpler to understanding what EI, or emotional intelligence, really is. He broke it down by saying that it is the ability to identify and monitor emotions. That being said, this means know your own emotions, more importantly, know other people's emotions. You could be the smartest person in the company, but other sets of skills are also needed. Leadership skills, interpersonal skills, and most importantly, in my opinion, teamwork skills. You must work together as a team. This topic is most important to me because I believe that this is a necessity to discover who you are as a person and as a leader, and understanding those around you. So, what do we have to do? You have to know yourself first. Self-awareness is a term that is commonly used through the Bill George's book True North, and many related books and articles written by Daniel Goleman. Some say it is so important to understand who you are as a person and at an early age, and then find a role that best suits your natural strengths and interests. Take a look at how you grew up. Think of the past. Did you have great parents or did you not? How were your social skills? Were you always quiet? In the end, we can look in the past and pick our own brains, but we as individuals can have the intellect to create our own goals and develop traits from past and present life experiences. Some established leaders shut out their childhood past and never want to relive it. So what do? They work even harder to sustain their success and achieve new goals and maybe create a better life for their own children. Sometimes it takes exterior feedback from those around us to help discover our EI, or what areas of EI we lack in. Ask for feedback. We find at times that it is extremely difficult to describe your own self. But on the other hand, some of us fear of asking others on their perspectives of how we are as a person and as a leader. I conducted a review of myself by asking my friends, family, and coworkers to describe me as a person and as a potential leader. It deemed successful. It definitely made me feel happy, but one struggle that we find with leaders is letting go of their ego. Because of the drive, money, fame, success, power, and status can get to all of our heads, or some of ours, and eventually lead to mistakes and errors in judgment, which can cost us our careers. Building your EI, or emotional intelligence, is not a smooth transition and can be very difficult. One important thing to remember is not to change who you are, but to remain true to yourself and continue to strive to be a successful leader with proper and honest feedback and support from friends, family. So what are your values? Finding your emotional intelligence and authentic self, you need to take a step back and find out what your values are. Bill George defines values as the relative importance of the things that matter in your life. He also defines leadership principles, a set of standards used in leading others derived from your values, and principles are values translated into action. Lastly, ethical boundaries, the limits placed on your actions, based on your standards and ethical behavior. Apply these terms to what truly is most important to you. Whatever that is, make sure you remain true to yourself and stick to your values. By having a list of values, it helps leaders prioritize them. At times, our values can become conflicting, and we then make choices, and that is where your ethical intelligence kicks into place, and hopefully you make that right decision. Other times, your values fall under pressure, and that is when you set ethical boundaries. This is a limit to what you will do when you are falling under pressure or leaning toward bad temptations, but have the ability to fight it. And remember what your true values are. Emotional balance is a term used by Daniel Goleman. He uses this when you are under pressure and need to put those feelings in check. Instead of letting those emotions get to you, you learn how to disseminate that anger and frustration, and then manage that anger and frustration. So now that we have found ourselves through feedback, life, and work experiences and established our cores and values, let's get started on the 5 necessary skills that makes up emotional intelligence. So here are the 5 skills to become emotionally intelligent. Of these following skills, Daniel Goleman exercised his beliefs that these are skills that best leaders assess and have helped create their successes. First off is self-awareness. You must know your own strengths and weaknesses. Don't ask your peers just yet, but just write them down. Write your highest qualities and your traits. What motivates you, and what kind of values do you possess? Next, we have self-regulation. When I was a kid, I always had temper tantrums just like any other child did. But it was to the point that I would get angry and my parents would put me in a timeout. Well, I became angry quite often, and then I started to manage that anger by putting myself in a timeout on my own before even having the tantrum. This reminded me to refocus that anger, take a step back, and stay calm. So I sat down alone until I felt better. I self-regulated that. Next up, motivation. This should be easy. What motivates you? Maybe the hardest part about this is trying to stay motivated when the situation decreases and morale has gone down. I've been there, it's awful. So set your goals and continue to strive for them. Do not give up by all means. Next is empathy. This is one of my favorite skills that I find most important for someone to be a good leader. You must understand other people's emotional makeup. Rather than talking to someone, just be a good listener. Sit back and listen and relax and ask a lot of questions. Take the time to know your employees and even your customers. Do not interrupt and get to know them. Do not interrupt and just get to know them. It sounds cheesy, but it is true. So then we have social skills. I do this for a living. It is part of my job and sometimes it makes my job easier. Establish a rapport with someone, find out what drives them and what stimulates their interests. Be social, friendly, and caring, and your social skills are set. No one likes a boss who thinks they are better than everyone else. So come on down off that high horse and talk to those who you work with every day on a daily basis. The article I read is called Emotional Agility. It's by Susan David and Christina Congdalatin. In the summary of the article, the two touch base that their article is titled Emotional Agility, which presents the topic of leaders trying to sustain a positive attitude by filtering their negative thoughts and ideas that continuously flow within their mind. By this point, this can affect the cognitive thinking because of failures and in the end, fail due to the lack of decision making. They believe that those leaders who have success have the ability to manage their thoughts and feelings, which leads to their success, whereas others do fail. They fail because they become sucked into those negative thoughts and sometimes become even angrier. The purpose of this article is to provide helpful exercises and evaluation to turn your negative thoughts and feelings into workability, which I will touch up on later slides. Leaders who become adept at channeling those thoughts and feelings are most likely to thrive. So you got to pick and choose your values. This can be difficult to do and often at times can lead to divorces or failures in your career. We face the difficult decisions of what we value most due to the amount of time we spend at work and the lack of time we spend with our families or vice versa. We then face emotional challenges at work and at home and deal with anxiety, stress, and lack of prioritizing our most important values. We then often fear rejection, distress, jealousy of others' success, and more. In this article, a technique is provided to manage oneself of the emotional thoughts and feelings that we suffer by calling it emotional agility. So what is emotional agility and when does it occur? This occurs when successful leaders have taken those negative thoughts and feelings, and rather than suppressing those feelings, they approach them in a mindful manner, values-driven, and in a productive way. According to the article, Frank Bond, a professor from the University of London, has done studies using emotional agility and has shown basic success by channeling the bad into the good. He states that emotional agility helps reduce the stress, eliminate crucial errors, become innovative, and improve their job performance. So what tests are taken to measure the emotional agility? Numerous studies helped create the acceptance and commitment therapy, also known as ACT, no, not the test that we take in high school. This was originally created by Stephen C. Hayes, a psychologist with the University of Nevada. These 4 practices that are what make up the test. You have to recognize your patterns. What is it at work or at home that makes you angry, and how do you react? Label your thoughts. Whatever you are thinking and what made you mad. Accept them. Know that you are having these thoughts and that they are with you. Lastly, act on your values. This is where they want you to focus on workability. Will your response affect you and your organization? Consider your values before you have a response. Getting hooked and then unhooked. First off, you have to recognize your patterns. You need to recognize the point in time when you are hooked by your emotions and feelings. This is considered one of the hardest steps to do in the emotional agility. These emotions are repeated over and over and over again in your head. In order to make a change, you have to identify those problems. Then, you have to label your thoughts and emotions. Once you are officially hooked in with those thoughts and feelings, it tends to cloud your mind. At this time, emotional agility wants you to label that thought, for example, calling a spade a spade. And in the article, Emotional Agility, one example they used is, my coworker is wrong, he makes me so angry. Then they change it to, I'm having the thought that my coworker is wrong, and I'm feeling anger. So it is scientifically proven that the brain operates in a way that if you can label these thoughts, that you can improve the well-being of your status for the better, being productive. This is not easy, but it is possible. Then you have to accept those thoughts. Remember that control is the opposite of acceptance, and you cannot act on every single thought. Emotional agility wants you to pay attention to your emotions with an open attitude, stop, think, and then take 10 deep breaths and know what is happening in that moment. This might bring some relief to the scenario, but it's not the end-all be-all of the problem. One outcome of doing this exercise is that you may realize how upset you really are. You may understand that this anger may be something important to you, or how you feel internally or externally, and instead of rejecting the feeling or taking your anger out on someone, you make this a productive action. Make a change to how you channel that anger, and instead of yelling at that coworker, just tell them, or just talk to them. Figure out a solution. Lastly, remember what your values are and act on them. Once you unhook yourself from those thoughts and feelings, you can then see what your values mean most to you. This can expand the choices you make by acting in a professional manner and a respectful manner toward yourself, peers, and even your family. It's almost a concept of think before you speak. Remember your values and remember the image as a leader you want to display, knowing that others turn to you for assurance and comfort. You are the leader. Now you have to be emotionally intelligent. It's impossible to block out your thoughts and feelings. Knowing yourself is the most important exercise. Knowing yourself is the most important exercise that you can do, and feedback, in my opinion, is the best type of information that you can receive from peers, friends, family, and even coworkers. This was important for me to read and do research on how to be emotionally intelligent. I discovered who I was through my own survey when I had my friends, family, and coworkers send me emails to describe character as a person and as a leader. Just remember the key ingredients to becoming emotionally intelligent. First is self-awareness with some realistic self-confidence and emotional insight. Be open-minded. Self-management, resilience, stay calm under pressure. Use the emotional agility exercise to help discover those pressures and then correct them. And then empathy, cognitive and emotional empathy. We are human. You are human. Those who work with you have feelings, so embrace that and respect that. Be open-minded and allow others to express their feelings. Succeed together as a team and share that success with the team. Praise those who helped you. And then relationship skills. Be a good listener. Communicate in a clear way so that people can understand you and your values as a leader and then as a person. So be a team player. I stress the fact of being a team player because I believe in this wholeheartedly. Lastly, you have your social skills. Just talk to people, build relationships, and be respectful. Engage in other people's interests. Don't be selfish and just listen. So if you add these ingredients together, you can be emotionally intelligent. If your thoughts and feelings are hurting your self-core values, then apply the emotional agility to help you exercise the brain on how to channel those emotions and be productive rather than hurtful. So what's important? Know what is most important to you and know your true self. I appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to my PowerPoint and my presentation. And I look forward to creating more of these. Thank you.